Well, welcome everybody. And if you don't mind, I wouldn't mind doing introductions. If you guys, Vic, if you can unmute everybody, and then we can just kind of see who's in the room, and then we'll go from there. So, Greg, I see you. Just tell me your name and then what your connection is. Like if you're a parent or a teacher.
Okay, I'm Greg Lewis. I'm a retired employee from Tecumseh Public Schools, and I'm currently on the board. I have 3 grandkids in the district.
I recognize you now. You were incognito there for a minute. Okay, then Veronica, I see you. How about Jackie?
Hi, I'm a reporter for the Tecumseh Herald.
Oh, glad to have you. Lynn, you're on there.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Lynn Davis. I am currently on the Board of Education, and I have 2 children in the district.
Okay, David. David, are you there? Okay, we will skip ahead. How about Kim?
Hi, I'm Kim Irish. I am principal in the high school.
Okay, you guys can still hear me. How about Heather?
Hello, I have 2 children at the middle school.
All right, glad to have you. Well, let me start off. My name's Rod Green. You guys may have met me already. I'm a former school superintendent for 24 years and current consultant with MASB, and I help with superintendent searches. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So I've got a little bit of a summary here for you. Let me get started with that. So first of all, I work for MASB, which is the School Board Association. You know, we do things like board development and training, and we do superintendent searches, and we've actually done more searches than any other firm in Michigan, and we do about 20 or so searches a year. So there are about 500 districts in Michigan, and you know, you actually have about 80 openings a year. And so there's several openings right now. In fact, we're kind of in competition with a few people, but we're a little bit ahead. So I think that's good. Myself personally, I've done over 50 searches in the last 10 years, including some districts that are not too far from Tecumseh. Now, one of the things that people don't always understand about search is that it's always done in open. So it's not like, you know, like a college, university, or, you know, when they're looking for a football coach at the university level or anything like that. You know, for school boards and for public K-12 education, we do it at an open meeting. And so these are some of the rules for Open Meetings Act in regards to the decisions must be made in open, the deliberations must be made in open. And so deliberations are kind of like the interviews. So we've got it set up for the search to have a lot of input from our stakeholders. So this particular meeting is basically an input session, and we'll get a chance to do that in a minute. We've also got the survey going. So we've gotten over 180 respondents so far on the survey. And we're going to be working with the board regarding all of these results. Like, what are people kind of thinking about when they think about a superintendent? And so we'll develop our profile. And then when we start the interviews, the audience will be able to fill out feedback forms. So the audience can sit there and watch the interview, and then they can, you know, comment on it. I'll collect that and then give that to the board. So here's our timing. We've got the stakeholder input going on right now. And on the 31st, which is next Wednesday, we're going to do the board workshop for the candidate profile. So I'll also talk to the board at that time about the contract. You know, we'll look at that. We'll look at the results from the stakeholder input. And we'll just basically continue to work towards, you know, getting the right candidate is really what we're doing. So the deadline is the 5th of March. And then about a week after that, the 12th, we'll be doing the interview prep. And so that's where the board will actually review the applications in public and decide on who they're interviewing. Now, you won't know that night who's being interviewed because we'll do it by number. But as of the next day, once those people have accepted an interview, then we'll publish that list of people that'll be interviewed on that following Saturday. So the 16th is a Saturday, that's the first interviews. And then the following Tuesday is the second round interviews, the 19th. Is that a Tuesday? I think it is. And then we'll hopefully be ready to start looking at a contract by late March, early April. So that's the plan. And any questions about the process? Any questions about the process? Anyone? Anyone? Nothing? Okay. So, all right, so let's get into the input from you guys, if there are some people that like to offer. And that is, I'd like to know, so I've been talking to candidates, and one of the things they always about the district, so it helps me to know what people are proud of about the district. So what would you say some of the good qualities are of the district? Greg, why don't you start? I see you up there.
Okay, yeah, I think probably academics would be one of our strong suits. We score very highly every year with our kids in MyStep and SAT scores. We've been in U.S. News and World Reports put us in the top 20% in the state and nationally. We have an excellent AP math program and other AP classes as well. AP science has been good. We've gone through some turnover there, but our AP courses are excellent. Our test scores across the board are really outweigh where we're at from a socioeconomic, outlook. We're not a wealthy district, but we score very well with a lot of wealthy districts. So I hats off to the teachers administration for making that happen. The community, of course, sends a good product in there, kids with good attitudes, and that makes it all happen. So we, as board members, we just need to make sure we continue to provide them with all the opportunities that they need to continue to succeed and get better.
All right, perfect. Love it. What else? Who else wants to offer? You can just unmute yourself if you've got a thought. One thing I noticed, I'll say, I love the facility, the high school. When I walked in, it's like, whoa, that is nice. I don't know how old it is, but it sure looked pretty good. Kim, how about you? I saw you were ready to unmute yourself.
I would reiterate what Greg said about academics. They certainly are very superior for in this county. Additionally, we have so many things for kids to do. So many athletic programs, and not just, the run-of-the-mill big ones, but we have bowling and, some of the lesser known ones that may only have a handful of kids, or they're grouped with some other county ones like our hockey and gymnastics. But we also have a lot of clubs for kids to get involved in. And we know that when kids get involved in things, it helps with their academics, helps with discipline, makes them feel like they're part of something. So, and we just really, really do have a great bunch of kids. I know sometimes probably Mr. Dolson thinks that we do have a lot of discipline, but overall, our kids really do behave the way they should.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're really great. So
excellent. All right, Heather, how about you? You're a parent in the district. What do you like?
I think some of our teachers are some of the best, if not the best in at least the nation. We have some teachers that are better than any that I've seen anywhere at any level.
Okay, excellent.
I would
How about
agree
you?
with that as well.
Okay,
we have
Lynn,
great-
how about you?
Yeah, I agree with everything everybody said. I would also say I think our special education services are the best in the county, if not, ranking up there throughout the state. I think we have a good balance of inclusion as well as focusing on the specific needs of each child. And so I think that's a point of pride that we've had as a district for a long time.
Okay. Veronica, I'm going to call on you for a minute because you've been working in the district. You work in central office. Are you there? Okay, well, let me move to a different topic just for the thought, and that is, what do you think the challenges are? What do you think some of the things coming up for a new person coming in? What do they need to be aware of? What are some of the thoughts? And I know there are a few, but Greg, you want to start off again?
I don't think I should say no. Well, of course, the downsizing of the district is a concern. The good, I guess, the good thing for that incoming person is that we're all the changes will be implemented and
Enroll.
ready to roll. So
Enrolling,
that
yeah.
helps a lot.
Yeah, so
The
you've been
so-
Greg, you've been declining enrollment, right? You're declining enrollment. So
Yeah.
you're doing a little restructuring, reshuffling, so to speak, but a lot of that lines work is going to be done, right?
That's correct. In fact, we have as much square footage in the district, right? Before we closed those buildings, we had a little more square footage in the district for a 2,500 student district than when I graduated in 1978. We had 3,600 students. We had less square footage. It wasn't even close. So I
Right.
mean, we're a little bit oversized. I mean, I know there's some different programs and things like that we do now, but you can't have that much available floor space and keep it warm and cold and lit and grass cut and all that stuff. I mean, we're going to cut grass anyway till we get rid of the buildings, but it's just that much more of a burden.
Well, when you think about it, you're really saying that you still have to manage this. You still have to manage a new person coming in, even though a lot of this work has been done. You still have to manage the implementation, make sure everything is smooth, and all of the different changes that are going on has to be managed. So that's a challenge. What else? What other challenges are there?
Well, you're right, Rod, but I think as much as we put a lot of effort into this, it's been since the millage failed, we've been talking about these things. As well as we think we put thought out this transition, it's still going to be at the end of 1 year, you're going to say, wow, how did we miss this? I mean, I think that's bound to happen. I don't think there'll be many of those, but there's going to be some of those.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Well, no matter, anytime you're running an organization, as complex as a school district, there's going to be things that need to be managed as you go. And so that's a big one. Anything else come to mind? How are finances? This is related to finances. You're going to be saving some money with some of the restructuring. So that's still got to be handled, right?
It is, and that's what the restructure handles. We want to keep our fund equity at around 12%. So we say above the 10% watch list, and we don't want to dip down, down in the single digits where we get a little more scrutiny from the state. So there's a bit of a buffer there.
Okay. What else is going on? Anything come to mind? Tricia, I see you joined us. How are you? Anything, Kim? There, Tricia, I see you. Go ahead, Tricia, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying it's nice to be here. Just kind of checking in. I'm a teacher in the district and I've had 3 children graduate from the district.
Okay. Well, nice to have you on the call. We're talking about, challenges, like what's coming up for a new person coming in. I mean, we know that they're going to have to get to know everybody. Of course, that's always a challenge. And we talked about the transition with the changes that are going on. Anything else come to mind, challenges?
I have some.
Okay, Heather, go ahead.
The main issue, and it stems from several causes, but the main issue is student population, as you mentioned. Without the revenue stream, everything else is impacted, making that a further challenge. There is no room to grow at the lower elementary levels as far as physical space. And two other things are community support is not at its highest. There needs to be a lot of work and communication with the community. And lastly, working on the culture from a staff as well as student parent level as well.
Okay, very good, thank you. What else? Other comments? Thinking about challenges. I see someone else has come in. Let me see if I can admit them. We have someone else coming in. Other challenges. Lynn, anything come to mind?
I mean, I agree with what Greg and Heather both said, and Heather's a very strong parent communicator with us. I think you take those challenges and then you put on top of them some of the things that are kind of across education, but the impacts of COVID still aren't super clear for some kids. They're not necessarily, we're going to see a little bit more come into the elementary school affected by that. So kind of the uncertainty of that, some of the challenges that we already have that don't make Tecumseh necessarily unique, but are there mental health of students, mental health of teachers, how those are affecting, to Heather's point about the culture and that, how those are affecting, the classroom and the classroom environment. So I think those are all key things. And the financial piece is tough because of, retaining good teachers and, giving them the compensation that they deserve. So I think those are things that we'll have to continue to face in the next 3 to 5 years. How do you balance growing the district and the space constraints with a community that kind of has a history of being a little reticent about larger capital projects and that. So I think those are all things that
Okay.
we have to look at, and then also just making sure that our curriculum and our opportunities for students are keeping up with what employers want for the future.
All right, sounds good. Holly, I see you joined us. How are you? We were talking about challenges facing a new person coming in. Any thoughts? Tricia, were you going to add something?
I was going to add, this isn't specific to Tecumseh, but generally speaking, is the teacher shortages. I'm working with several colleges and universities, and that's a big deal that they're talking about right now.
Yeah, I actually caught that from Lynn, and I put down retain and attract staff. That's going to be a challenge going forward. Yeah, thank you for that. Anything else in regard to challenges? Thoughts? I'm not calling on the newspaper people, but you guys can jump in if you want to. I'm picking on everyone else, I guess. Okay, let me go to the next slide. and that is, where do you think this person is coming from? Where is the person? What's the background? And so when you think about this kind of a question, you know, I mean, do you think they need to have been in the classroom? Do they need to have been a teacher? Is that a thought?
Looks like we
I'll
lost
start on
Rod
that
there.
one. Yeah, did we lose Rod? There he
Yep,
is.
popping back in.
Are you back, Rod?
His audio still coming in. Stand by.
Are they coming from?
Yeah, Rod,
Yeah,
you,
Can you hear me
you
now?
broke up there a little bit.
Yeah, we can hear you. You might want to share your screen again though,
Okay.
Rod.
Oh, there you go. Thank you for that reminder. Okay, let's see
This
here.
isn't even my first Zoom meeting today, Rod.
Oh,
It's not even my first Zoom meeting today.
that's good
But
to know.
yeah, but I mean, I'd really be interested in hearing Ms. McGee's and Ms. Evans' viewpoints on this, but I and Mrs. Tidswell's. But I really think teaching experience is critical. I don't think you can lead a district and
All
understand.
right, let's ask Trisha first. Where are you,
Yeah,
Trisha?
go ahead, Trisha.
All right, you muted.
Sorry about that. Yes, I do believe at some point previously they should have been in the classroom. I also believe they should have been a principal as well. I would also like to see some experience, this not being their first time as a superintendent, is my personal opinion.
Okay. So definitely an educator, and then maybe even superintendent experience. All right, what else? How about a parent like Heather? Are you still there, Heather?
Yes, I'm here.
What do you think?
I kind of come from the opposite perspective. I don't have an education background. I have a business background, but after seeing the complexities that the organization has gone through, I think it is extremely critical to have tangible and practical experience in, I'll call it the real world, and specific to business as far as leadership, strategic development, actually taking strategy and moving it into plans, and having a very robust finance background, being able to understand and help direct that. I think we have a good finance team in-house, but it's basically leans on one person. And when that happens, there isn't, not that she necessarily needs oversight, but there isn't a lot of guidance or just a second eye or, a second voice in things. She's kind of on her own. So really having some leadership around that, I think, would be
Okay, yeah,
beneficial.
that sounds good. Holly, anything from you? Any thoughts, background? Anyone else? Lynn or Greg?
I can speak as a former teacher, having
Yeah.
been evaluated by an administrator that had never taught. It was rough on the culture for teachers, because they didn't even really know what to do, because they didn't know what was expected. Didn't know what experience they had or even knew what to look for. So I do think it's important that they have had teaching experience. And I would think more than just 1 or 2 years, like had to go through all the tough times and ups and downs of education. And I really, I think that's important for them to be an academic leader, because that is ultimately our job, is to get these kids ready to go out in the world,
Okay,
no matter where it happens to be. So.
All right. Greg, I see you unmuted yourself. What do you think?
I'm glad that everybody else is talking because I don't want to hear what I have to say. I already know what I think. I'm really trying to garner what everybody
other
else said. But
people are thinking, all right, that's
one
fine.
of the things I do, one of the things I do want to say, I guess, because you brought it up is I just like your input. When we say we want somebody with superintendent experience, the last time we interviewed and hired Rick Hilderly, about 75% of the people who were applying for that superintendent position against him were all non-renewed. So I don't know why we would turn a blind eye to somebody who's been a successful high school principal either. I didn't see in that one instance. Go ahead. I mean, is that
Well,
is it a pretty high number?
No, I think that there's definitely some value in superintendent experience, no doubt about it. But there's also value in director type experience, like curriculum directors or, a high school principal, for example. They certainly could aspire to this role. And I think you were served well by Rick having a couple years. I think he had maybe 3 years in Bronson, or maybe it was only 2. I don't remember exactly, but I mean, that's helpful. But you're always kind of weighing the talent versus experience. Like when you get a really talented administrator, maybe they haven't checked all of the boxes, but they're certainly going to is some learn the job. No matter who comes in, they're going to have things to learn in the job, no doubt about it. So how quick of a learner can they be? Certainly everyone has to start somewhere, but we could be weighing that. So when you look at the overall applicants, not all of them will have superintendent experience for sure. So you're going to have to weigh that. Does that experience that they have in this other district, count as much as somebody that has some experience as a high school principal in another district or whatever? I mean, it is definitely something you're going to have to weigh. But it's helpful to hear what people think. And obviously on the survey, all of these questions I'm asking you on the survey, they kind of qualify where you can rank things more importantly than others. So it gives you a feel for what the overall people think. When you have 180 responses, we'll be able to see that a little bit, what the community, or at least the people that filled it out, what they think. Anything else? Any other comments on that background? But I mean, one thing I would take out of this is they definitely have to have some experience as an administrator in some fashion, whether, as Heather was saying, like in finance or in a business, in a leadership role, as Tricia was saying, hey, some teaching experience, Kim was saying, something as a principal. I mean, they definitely can't just walk in, and do this job. They've got to have some experience in some fashion. There's no doubt about that. Let me ask you about the next question, and that is, what about the attributes and qualities? What are we looking for in terms of personality, in terms of, just what kinds of things do you want to see from this successful candidate? Comments on that? Somebody has to start. Shall we start with Heather?
I was still thinking about my answer, but
You can do
they
more
need
than
to
one.
have extremely good communication skills, interpersonal skills. They need to be a transformational leader, and they have to have specific examples and specific either projects or companies or groups or something that they have actually transformed and led. They need to be process oriented. I think there's a lot of processes that are missing here. Or in the process of being developed. Those were a couple of
Okay,
things that I was
that's
thinking
good.
about.
Yeah, and you can jump in later. The whole idea about communication and actual, projects. Well, communication is one thing, but actual, I caught one thing that you said about show us what work you've done in project, let's say, so that you can demonstrate that you can do it. And that is something I'm going to talk to the board about in terms of how we ask questions. We want to do what are called behavioral type questions, where we ask them about, tell us about a time when you led the district in a strategic planning process. What was the process? What were the results? That type of a question where it's not what would you do, it's what did you do? And I think that's kind of what Heather was alluding to there a little bit. Okay, so what else? What other kinds of things? You said personal skills. So I'm going to take that as people skills, able to talk with people and communicate, all of that.
Yeah, I was trying to provide a better example of what communication meant, but it needs to be at a very low level and kind of make like intimate relationship, really, like, I think a good example is like Rick partnering with the city and kind of sharing the details of us and then kind of getting it from the city. So making those kind of partnerships and strong relationships.
Okay, that's good. What else? Other qualities, people? Lynn, I see you
yeah.
unmuted yourself. Go ahead.
In the communication realm too, I think they have to be able to give bad news, and they have to be able to good news and bad news. And I think from a leader standpoint, people development and explaining expectations and how people are performing, and then developing, people from those concerns, I think is important in any organization, but especially as kind of we move forward.
So somebody that's straightforward.
Yeah.
Gives the straight scoop, so to speak, not sugarcoating, not embellishing, things like that, but just, I mean, sometimes people use the word transparent, but I like the word straightforward too. You know where you're at with this person, right?
And I also think someone, I think Holly put this in the chat, but I'll elaborate a little bit more. I think who takes input from all stakeholders before, on important decisions, or identifies the right stakeholders,
Okay.
on decisions and utilizes that as they make a decision.
Yeah, I see in the chat, Holly wrote open-minded, transparent. So yeah, those are good comments. What else? Yeah, people can write in the chat too, you guys. I should have told you that earlier. What else? I wanted to ask you about decision making. So you need someone that can make decisions, right? But you want them to have a good process for getting input, listening, and then ultimately making the decision. And then being able to explain it. I think I heard Lynn saying that, explain things, be able to tell people things. That's a skill that, not everybody has. So that's something. Is that something that you would agree with?
Yes.
Anyone? Yes. Okay. Other comments, other qualities. Let me think about a couple of other things, like, well, somebody said strong earlier. So a strong leader, right? Someone that can make good decisions with input and then explain them. We said that. Good communicator, transparent, straightforward, open-minded. Someone that listens, right? Listens to others. How about empathetic?
Yes,
We like someone that's empathetic,
yes.
would you say?
I'd like to also add in somebody that
Am I,
values collaboration. We have great teachers, we have great administrators, but somebody that not just checks off the box like, hey, I met with the team, but really values the voice of the team members involved.
Yeah, we lost Rod again, so we'll have him jump back in here in a second.
sorry about that. Vic, is that me? My internet is not that good or something?
Yeah, I think you're popping in and out a little bit.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just saying some great stuff, you guys. I'm not kidding you, and I didn't realize I was frozen. It was good. It was good. So I wrote down some things like listens and in terms of communication, it's not just speaking, obviously, it's listening and collaborating. So collaboration would be another thing I'm thinking we would want. Anything else come to mind?
Strong moral compass.
Ah, good. Okay. What else? We don't want somebody that's my way or the highway, right? We want somebody that's collaborating with people. We want somebody that listens, but able to, get the decision right when we need it. Other things that come to mind. Anyone? Tricia, are you still there? What do you think?
Yeah, I'm still here. I mentioned collaboration earlier, but I also want to throw in, optimism, and courage. I think that kind of piggyback on what Lynn was mentioning earlier.
Just so everyone's aware, we lost Rod again. Okay. Rod, we lost you. Now you're back.
Tricia, what were we gonna say?
I mentioned earlier about the collaboration.
Okay.
But I also want to just add in, I think this is what a lot of people are saying is the moral compass. I appreciate that. Integrity. I think that's huge. Using the team. We have great teachers and great administrators, but really valuing others' experience and opinion. I think that's important.
Love it. Excellent. Well, you guys, I'm sorry if it was my computer that wasn't working very good. Let me look at the chat here for a second. Flexible, able to handle unexpected challenges. Love that. Great. Yep, that's good. Well, I know I'm going to get some good input from the survey as well. Other thoughts for me before we sign off? Greg, anything? Lynn?
I guess the only thing I would like to see in a new superintendent, I want to see somebody who says, I want less of the words I and my and a lot more of we. And I just think that's the way we go forward. And we talk about collaboration and working together. It doesn't start with first person singular. It's got to be first person plural. And believe that, I'm not saying it's not Rick. It's just,
Yeah,
in my years, it's got to be what I'm going to do and my board and, stuff like that, that just my administrators, I mean, I didn't really think other than my parents, I was ever owned, but, those type of words bother me. I think to get the best out of everybody, they got to feel invited to speak.
yeah. And are you guys seeing the chat? Another one was added, openness to new ideas, team player among staff. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hear you guys saying the same kinds of things. And I know that we can look for that kind of thing and the types of questions we want to answer. When we put our profile together, that's what we'll try to get at that, as we're trying to talk with candidates. So
Brad,
anything else? Yes.
Yeah, this is Lynn. I just want to thank everybody that joined. It's a small group, but I do appreciate everyone taking time out of their schedule to help educate us and help us understand their viewpoint of what they want to see in the future.
Thank you. Yeah, and don't be afraid to come Monday night. I'm going to be doing a session Monday night at 6 o'clock. So we'd love to have you come out and offer these same kinds of thoughts.
Yep, and
But Rod, could you maybe
Yeah.
answer Holly's question about are there candidates currently?
Oh, yes. Yes, there are candidates currently, and I'm talking to people as they go. So obviously people are kind of waiting. They wait a little bit to see what the profile looks like, and they'll research the district a little bit. But I've probably talked to maybe 6 or 7 different people that are interested in looking at it. And I'm at the superintendent's conference now, and I've had a few people come up to me and ask me about it. So yeah, I think we're getting some good interest out there. Thank you for that question.
just
Well,
for everybody
thanks,
here
Vic.
though too, if you don't mind me, Rod, if
Yeah.
you haven't yet, you have until tomorrow at 3 p.m., right, Rod, to fill out the stakeholder survey?
Yes.
For the
Fill
folks
out
in
the
this
survey, yes.
audience who may have not. I'll push that out again, and this recording will be out also on our website too. So
All right, great.
staff members, if you want to share it, obviously Monday we'll be in person.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Vic, for setting this up for us. And thanks to everybody. I'm looking forward to Monday, and I'm sure we'll see a few people on Monday. So thank you all.
Have a
Good
good weekend,
night.
Rod. We'll see you Monday.
All right, see ya.
Bye, Ron.